All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Ancient Magus Bride, episode 3. And we're going to the Land of the Dragons.
The Land of the Dragons, already. I love it.
Yes. And wouldn't you know it, the Land of the Dragons is somewhere near Iceland.
Yeah.
Song of Ice and Fire much, maybe?
Just a bit.
Just a bit.
Even though Iceland isn't really like a land of ice.
Yeah, and we have a dragon rider.
We do.
And he has the very typical kind of long white hair, bad guy kind of design. You know?
Even down to the deep voice.
Oh, yes, he had the very anime, I am Kira Kotomine kind of deep voice, you know.
So, we'll have to see how Elias manages to rescue her, but hopefully not before we get to see this awesome Land of the Dragons.
I feel like this is going to be the style of the show, in that it will open up specific aspects of the world and how kind of the general overall culture within these like little subsections of the world operate. And Chise will be our eyes into that.
Exactly.
With Elias maybe providing some context.
And some plot protection.
Exactly, for our little perceiver, Chise. I'm really liking that they're not delving too deeply into the romantic, the bride side of this whole plot, because it's not needed now. We need to still understand the world more.
Yes.
And also, it would paint Elias into a little bit more of a creepy picture, in that he'd be forcing his way on.
Well, okay,
Chise.
sure, I see what you mean, but that's if they do it poorly, right?
Sure,
they don't have to address that by specifically addressing the "I want to make you my bride" part.
Right.
They could address it in other ways.
They could.
But shall we?
Yeah. Without further ado, let's get into this episode and see the Land of the Dragons. It is foreboding kind of sound.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got the shadows over his eyes and everything.
Yeah.
Is there something changing in the Land of the Dragons? Oh, yep, they're in Iceland.
Maybe that's the way. Ooh.
Oh,
sure.
They're
Okay.
dying out.
Makes sense.
That's what this world is in. It's in a transition from one type of magic to another.
Okay, crackpot theory. What if Iceland was so green actually because of the dragon magic?
Possibly.
Okay.
So some
dragon
people
extermination.
tried to basically eliminate all the aggressive ones.
Even though it doesn't seem to have teeth. Oh, no, it does. Okay.
Whoa.
Oh, that look in his eye!
Yeah. These two know each other. I'll bet you anything.
Okay,
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
smile,
he hasn't changed much. I knew it. They knew each other.
that smile doesn't make him seem like a villain, though.
No, it doesn't.
It makes him seem like the trickster.
Right.
These are all
Dinosaurs.
dragons. Dinosaurs are older, like other forms of dragons.
Okay.
So, here's something that I want to see, though. Just because a bunch of people want Chise because she's a Slayvegi, that doesn't mean that everyone will be, like, evil if they try to get her.
Right, that's true.
Oi,
The dragon's like...
Oh, careful, you can break her neck. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
water. Alright.
She's sinking. She's wearing heavy clothes.
Yeah, he's like, oh no! Can she not
You
swim?
idiot!
Is this gonna, like, awaken her magical powers or something?
No, it's just kind of her feeling of being, like, powerless in the...
Right. Yeah, they had the same kind of
triggering
thing.
a flashback. Here we go. That's Elias's voice.
It is! He has telepathic magic too, maybe?
Well, didn't he give her some items that would, like, protect her and stuff?
That's true.
Maybe it's a tracking device.
Well, she already has the tracking device.
Oh! Oh my gosh!
Okay, that is a very creative looking dragon. Like it's ancient, but it doesn't look like a traditional dragon.
Whoa.
それはウイルという種のドラゴンだ。
I'm not even gonna try to pronounce
森
that.
の
Just
土に
Uyu?
口行く土体に緑を宿すものよ。
Now, if he's super ancient, is he like an example of the biggest that dragons can get? Or...
Daughter of Thorn.
Oh, the Thorn Mage,
エ
yeah.
アリエルたちが騒いでおったのでな。あの層が
Ariels are the fairies.
Yeah, right.
あやつらの噂はまさに風のごとし。
Literally.
こたびは素早かったの。いつまで弟子の影にひっついておる。そう。いや、エインズワース。
What do you mean?
Oh, he's actually hiding in her shadow.
he's protecting. Wow, that's some freaky magic right there. Wow. Dang.
くだらない話が終わるまでだよ。他人をおもちゃにするのは300年前から変わらないな。
Echoes?
エコーズ。
Okay.
良いのかエインツワース。お主の弟子が凍え死ぬ。
She's soaked to the bone.
Well, it's Iceland, too.
Yeah.
大丈夫です。
Drying spell.
Yeah, exactly.
影に抱くさ。
Yep.
ヒイラギの輪。
Oh, no, it's not just a drying spell, I don't think.
No, it is. It is. Look at that. Look at that.
Well,
乾いた。
Yeah.
well,
あ
okay.
りがとうございます。
It's heat. There
Sure.
were little fire
Yeah, yeah,
aerials.
ガキが一丁前に親の真似事なぞしておるなと。
I love how he's talking about Elias
Elias like he's a brat.
as if
Yeah.
he's a little kid, you know? What if Echoes is way older than Elias?
して
Might be.
あいつはリンデル。このドラゴンの巣の管理者で
リンデル。
僕と同じ魔法使いだ。
So he is a trickster,
魔法でドラ
basically.
ゴ
A
ンの国を
trickster.
普通の人間から隠す役目
Oh,
を
it's
して
his
る。
duty to be
だから
here.
管理者さ。
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Caretaker. Yeah.
Yeah.
こんななりでも僕よりずっと
Yes,
年上のい
mischievous.
たずらじじいだから
Even more ancient than. Yep,
Okay,
you're
yeah.
right. Okay.
お話終わった？遊ぼう。
They can talk. They can talk.
Okay.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
グイで足元の
We.
動きのゆっくりしてる。
Like the ancient. Gotcha.
Okay.
So it's not that they're moving aggressively; they just need food to survive.
Well,
シセ
a lot of different things
Yeah.
can be food for dragons.
That's true. They're like, yeah. His little creepy smile, just like, yeah, play with them for me.
No, I get the feeling he's like he's weird, but he's not
Yes.
like someone we need to be worried about.
Right, I agree.
上から飛び降りてお池目指して滑空の練習。
Because they can't fully fly yet. They probably can only glide.
And hopefully they're not intending her to
人
be
間って飛べるんでしょ？
not
と
exact.
筋肉を遺伝子レベルで改造しなきゃちょっと難しいかな。
Whoa, whoa, Chise! That
was-
little, just rapid fire.
Yeah.
A little bit there. Yeah, running is better for now.
Exactly.
Ah!
せっかく可愛い。
I went again. Oh, they're so cute.
They are.
ド
No.
ラゴンを見るのは初めてかい。
すみません勝手に。
Uncle
私
Nevin.
はもうすぐ帰る身だから転がるひなを見ている方が楽しいんじゃないかとね。
ネビンのおじちゃんもうそろそろだね。
Oh,
そろそろ。
yeah.
ネビンのおじちゃんね。もうすぐ
Into a
君なの。
tree.
That's the nice way to say he's
ルールた
dying.
ちはみんな
Well,
そうだよ。
yeah.
とっ
Yeah.
てもいい気
That's why it's green in Iceland.
Nice.
The dragons have all
mhm.
returned back to the vegetation.
Cool.
Yeah, she's noticing it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's so like
Awesome.
beautiful and sad. Like
私たちは人間のように死ぬことを恐れない。いつだって悔いのないよう生きられるだけ生きるものだから。
she's like, ooh, my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. No parallels at all there.
Right.
痛くないですか？
お前は優しい子供だね。君が悲しむ必要はない。
違う。悲しんでなんかいない。できない。
It's just she doesn't know how to deal with loss.
Probably not.
I mean, yeah.
生きる者が死者を羨むものじゃない。
Yeah.
飛べない君が飛ばなくてよかった。
Whoa.
君に会えなかったら彼は誰を弟子
Whoa.
にしていいのか。
Whoa, this thing just
Yeah.
read her mind right there.
Oh, her
もしかして
soul.
私の記憶を。
人間にはぶしつけだった。すまない。
Whoa. Wow.
飛べない君には本当に飛ぶ楽しさを教えた方が良さそうだ。
Oh, dragons, of
今の
course, can use
私に
magic.
飛ぶ力はないけれど、
But he's gonna make
私
her
の
able
心
to.
にある空
Oh,
を見
that's
せること
so
ができる。
awesome.
それを見せよ。
Come on a journey with me. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
This is incredible.
Oh, and this music. That is gorgeous.
I'm tearing up. What? What is happening?
Wow. Ah, this is awesome.
Okay. ネビンが最後の夢を見ておるようじゃ。
Yeah,
知
I
性
knew
と
it.
ともに。
知性が魔法使いになれば最後の世代とも言われかねないね。
気がかりかの？あのスレイペが。
Whoa.
我々の一族は空を捨てたが、いつだってこの空の下で生きてゆく定めだ。その名にある鳥のように、君も生きるためにこの空の下を飛びなさい。
生きるために。
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
木が
Yeah.
ありがとう。
Yeah.
君が来てくれたおかげで最後に飛べた。
私は何も。
Yes, you did.
白い綺麗な花が咲くらしい。君は魔法使いだろう。いつか杖が必要になるだろうから。
And she's gonna.
私の絵が
Yes!
作る。
Oh, yes! Oh, this is so precious and perfect.
I love it.
おじちゃんすごいね。
Uncle was
僕
awesome.
もこんな大きな木になれるかな。
Wow.
おかえり、知性。ネビンの空は綺麗だったかい？
とても綺麗でした。
珍しいものを見れたな。
悲しむ必要などひとかけらもないぞ、知性。これは摂理よ。
It's the cycle, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
はるか昔からドラゴンたちが育んできた精神の末、ドラゴンたちは皆穏やかに他の生物の苗床になるのだから。
I like how they showed the shadows.
Yeah, I was going to
over it.
notice that. Yeah, the shadows. They were very intentional there.
Mhm.
そろそろ帰ろう。
なんじゃ、もう帰るのか？
他にも押し付けられた要件があるんだよ。
Shoved.
すっぽかせばいいの。
About the priest
You
guy.
could just bail on
真
it.
面目じゃの。
I like Lindo.
Yeah, me too.
これが視線。
I still can't deny that he has the makings of a
So,
proper
you could-
antagonist.
He does.
通りすがりに優しくしてもらっただけのような人だったし。
And again, the shadows.
Yep.
なんかめまいがする。
It's okay to cry.
でもやっ
No.
ぱり、
Oh.
If she was using her magic right there,
あ
then
の穏やかな帰り方は少し羨ましい。
Oh, that was such a sweet episode.
that really was a sweet episode.
Yeah.
And I want to okay. I want to point out
Oh.
that they made that episode very sweet, very heartfelt, and it was great. They had a ton of world building in this
A
episode
ton.
again,
Quite a lot.
and again, not really any plot.
Mm-hmm.
So, I like this style. Like I don't know how long they're going to keep it up because they'll probably need to have some plot.
I think
at
they
some
can keep it
point.
up for 6 episodes.
Sure.
I think that no more than that, though.
Yeah,
I think
not.
that the main thing that they haven't brought up is the idea of people wanting to take her from Elias. yet.
Right, and they've kind of like made sure that we're always aware of it, because in the first episode it was the fairies or the Ariels, and then in this episode, or in the last episode, they made us think that someone was going to do that.
Right.
But then it turned out to be.
Yeah, well, it
harmless?
was. I think that was the thing, is that was setting up what one of the main conflicts of the story will be, and
Right.
then with these, they're now getting us introduced to the foundation of this world and the story that will eventually come with regards to conflict. But as of right now, the main story is focused on the characters and
the
developing
world.
them and the world.
Yeah. Right.
Primarily the world, yes, with the characters kind of secondary, but they are teasing bits about the characters,
Yeah,
like
it's-
Chisei's mother,
Sure, yeah.
like Elias's kind of ambiguously long history with a lot of other magical
Right.
people, and how a lot of them kind of have this interesting relationship with him.
Yeah, it's funny
Yeah.
because it's like they're not really like, it doesn't feel like they're developing the characters so much as showing more of who they are,
Right.
using the environment as a backdrop to bring that out. Right.
Exactly. Case in point, the new guy Lyndall here.
Yes.
We immediately thought in the previous episode, oh, antagonist, here we go, linear story
Right.
beginning. No, not necessarily. Lyndall
Yeah.
is just going to be another character like Angelica. Was her name the Artificer?
Yeah.
Just another character that takes care of a specific aspect of the magical world.
Right.
And gives us some info into the foundation of that world, so that when they start using those parts in the main plot, we'll then have some context,
Right.
so that things make a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Because you can tell that this is an ambitious world that they're creating.
Yes,
So far, the
absolutely.
story doesn't really have much ambition
Right.
yet.
Yeah. But that's fine. Like
But it
even
gives
though-
it kind of a Lord of the Rings feel. Almost.
It does.
Yeah,
It does.
it's-
And even though they're not focusing very much on character development right now, that doesn't
Right.
mean it isn't happening. They're just
Yes.
doing it in a very
Well said.
subtle, slow burn way.
Yeah.
I loved how they had, like, I mean, we both loved that whole moment with Chisei and Uncle
Nevin.
Yes, as they're flying together. And one of the things
In
that
the beginning, I just cried. That was, because with the little subtle music, and just having this feeling of, you can tell that the plot with Chisei revolves around her being truly free and really living.
yes,
And
right.
they brought it up so directly in
They
this.
really did.
That
Yeah.
they basically didn't need plot for this episode.
No, because that was the plot. And one of the other things that I thought was really cool in this is that they did something that in another set of circumstances I would have considered to be like trying to save on animation budget, and maybe they were trying to, but if you notice when they were doing the flying,
Yeah.
it was almost completely still.
It
There
was.
was the reflection of the water, shimmering and stuff. There were the changing colors and all that, and the artwork was very beautiful, but there wasn't really any motion.
Right.
And at first I was like, wait a minute. Like, are they skimping? But then I was like, ooh, no. The fact that they have the music here and the amazing visuals, and they're just lingering on Chisei, I thought, like, when I started thinking about that, I was like, no, that's great. That's perfect, because it's basically creating a blank space for our mind to fill in.
Yeah.
It's helping show how moving this is for Chisei, because
Yeah.
if they just had it be a quick moment that was sort of over and done with, then we would expect that to have a similar effect to have been had on Chisei, one that's sort of over and done with, not much like lasting effect.
No, this show really knows how to do lingering moments.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like that's going to be moving forward. A lot of that is going to happen in the really deep emotional moments, but then
Yeah.
when they get into the world building, they're going to just chop through it. Like, you better be paying attention, otherwise,
yeah.
it's,
Yes.
you're just gonna fly right past you.
And oh my gosh. And they did that. They totally did that this episode. There were
Yeah.
there were so many things that they added in there. And can we give a shout out to like not just the fact that they're doing world building, but they're doing creative world building. So it's not just that they're
Yes.
telling us what this world's like, but the fact
Right.
that the dragons are so fundamentally like different from like traditional dragons in fantasy stories.
Well,
even though they're
traditional
still
dragons don't exist. Every culture has their own spin on
Sure.
dragons.
Yes.
And this is more of a Celtic style story, magic area anyway. You know, kind of
Sure.
old. Maybe it might end up delving into some Norse stuff at some point, but as of right now, we're dealing with the old kind of,
right.
Celtic
But-
way of looking at things. And I liked how they, instead of making them all about the massive wings and the lithe bodies like the Japanese version, or more about the grand, like, kind of torsos, they made
Right.
them more like dinosaurs
Yes.
than
Which is-
really anything else. Like
which
that,
is-
those were literally Stegosaurus dragons.
Yep. Which
Except
is-
for the spines on the back. But
which
then
is-
there were some other ones that almost looked like goats to some extent. And,
Yeah.
it was just really, really interesting.
Right. It's those sorts of things that make me think like, oh, okay, no, these actually are ancient beings because one, it's the association of okay, dinosaurs, old, right?
Right.
But it's a lot of times the whole idea of like ancient dragons or whatever, or ancient beings or whatever, if it's something that is familiar, like the traditional, like more of like Lord of the Rings style dragons, you know,
Right.
you tend to lose that sense of like just how grand they are, because while they might be visually spectacular, a lot of times, at least to me, they'll lose that vibe, that sense of no, these things are old. And
I love the way you went to the baritones for that. With Nevin in particular, they chose to have it be an aspect of reincarnation into nature. And I don't believe that's been done before
With
that
dragons?
often with dragons.
I can't
think of an example, but
Yeah.
that aspect of it immediately brought to mind a little bit of the balance of something like Avatar, and the way that you could just say it's the circle of life or whatever, but there's this feeling you get that magic is something that is constantly changing. It is something that has a very set purpose, but the state that it's in is constantly in motion. It is changing, but it is not going to end. And here's something that I thought was
Right.
bring up that was kind of interesting. They were contrasting the aspect of mages being a dying breed on their way out, and even dragons are a dying breed on the way out. But these dragons are cycling back into the world, and the world is a part of us, and we're
Right.
connected to it. And I think that's not really something we're supposed to take as literally as I am, but there's a feeling I get that when they, brought up, how Chisei is unconsciously seeping out magic and power, and that could be dangerous to her and also things around her. I get the feeling that the reason why she's important beyond just being a slave beggy is that she's a fount of life. She is something that could be used negatively, of course, but her presence is actually evoking magic itself to stimulate life. And I know that it didn't save Nevin here, because how is she going to save an ancient dragon?
Sure.
But I feel like in the future this will be something where she goes, she will bring life. She will be that aspect of it. And I think that's a theme that's very common when stories go into magic about how what a human being's purpose is. It is to be a creative being, to be a creator, to be someone that stimulates life around them, that has a positive influence, doesn't disrupt the balance, but adds a harmonious note to it. I feel like that's going to be something beautiful that this show will do.
Oh, absolutely.
And they'll do it in a flavor that's unique to this story.
Right.
So
Yes.
I'm very excited for that.
On the along the tone of what you mentioned earlier with the whole circle of life kind of a thing.
Yeah.
They've really been setting that up a lot, because if you notice, the wielders of magic, right, don't actually control magic itself, but rather they use the magic of the creatures, the magical creatures and stuff in this world, right? And that's how they perform their magical acts. And Chisei attracts the magical creatures.
Right.
So it could be that she's the additional link in the cycle, basically.
Sure, potentially. Or people, or sleigh beggies in general.
Right, yeah, sleigh beggies in general.
Because they could be basically like, you know how in Star Wars there are Force nexuses? I think that she is the example of a magical nexus. So the reason why magical creatures naturally are drawn to her, like the fairies or the Ariels, as they're more properly termed, is because she is actually a source of life.
Right.
So they come to her being like, oh, yes, I feel young again. I feel rejuvenated and energized.
Hence why when she was in the place with Angelica and she touched the crystal, it just exploded and started like
forming more.
Right. Like it's because that was when I first watched that scene, and you might have thought this too. But that was one of those things where the sort of conservation of mass and all that stuff just was broken
entirely.
Right, and not that they've established that is something that is a problem in this universe, but in a lot of magical universes, or in a lot of magical systems, that is something that they sort of state, so that to try and put a bit of a damper on magic. Otherwise, it's like
it's chaotic and it has no limits.
Exactly right. And the magic that Chisei seems to be using is chaotic and has no limits, and very much seeming like it's just
spontaneous creation.
Spontaneous creation, giving life, like you said, which means that we could see some really cool things happening as she learns to understand herself and her power better, because it won't just be some like power level increase or whatever. It will be like fundamentally different, very strange things that can happen, because like having the power of just creation, like what can you do with that? What can't you do with that?
She we don't know yet, but the thing that they've attributed it to in particular is that she will become a mage and not a sorcerer. And that is, I think, a very distinct difference, is that there will be limits, and we will see that, I think, as the sorcerers, who are almost obviously going to be set up as some kind of antagonistic force in this world, there ends up being some clashing there. I also really think that this episode did some very subtle things to hint at Lyndall being an antagonistic force for Elias, not necessarily for Chisei. Now, here's something that is very kind of simple, but
I think I know what
you know what I'm going to say. Did you notice what Lyndall's cloak was colored? White entirely. What is Elias's main color? Black. Now, this is the most basic of observations. But you choose these things very intentionally. Okay,
that's true.
They are diametrically opposed by basic design.
Okay,
if you're an artist, a mangaka, and you're drawing these characters, you do not choose the colors that your characters' designs are on randomly.
Right, and especially not when they end up being opposite colors.
Yes. Also, Lyndall did a couple things where he showed kind of worry about the future of mages, a little bit of a dislike for the way that humans have rampantly grown in recent times. He might also have a little bit of an emotional connection to the state of the dragon, so if the dragons were to dwindle away completely, his purpose as caretaker would go away, and he might feel a little bit lost.
So here's my little tidbit. Lyndall is
Lindenbaum was the tree type that produced the flowers.
Yes. But Lyndall, he is basically the caretaker of this nature, like of this realm of nature, right? Or not realm like everything, but like the dragons, right?
Yes.
That's his domain, right? Elias, right? So Lyndall takes care of magical creatures.
Right.
Elias is all about using magical creatures. Now Lyndall, of course, is a mage as well, so he does that too.
Yeah.
But if Chisei...
Primarily fairies, though. That's a great distinction to make,
yes,
though.
Yes,
the Ariels or the fairies
Ariels,
are the main conductive point, I believe, so far, as they've been introduced.
Seen Elias use,
for mages' work, like their spells.
Right, basically. Assuming that Elias is a good representation of mages as a whole.
Well, also what Angelica said in episode 2. she uses
That's right.
a fairy
That's right.
or
Yeah.
Ariel as well.
Now here's my thought. If sleigh baggies are essentially a force of nature as well,
Yes.
right? Then
And potentially a fount of mana for you to
Right.
draw from to use your own magic.
well, possibly, who knows?
Yeah.
Because if she certainly if she attracts other magical creatures, then those
Yeah.
magical creatures could be drawn from. So, I could see it being something where maybe Lyndall is like, you're kind of messing with things that you shouldn't be messing with.
right, the idea
like-
that he maybe is being a little bit greedy, like
Or
Elias
or
is
at the very least maybe arrogant.
yes.
Like you realize that's a sleigh baggie. Like,
At one point, she will surpass you. Like
Well-
that whole thing as well.
Sure.
The idea of the apprentice that she is being taught by someone who has great renown, great magic, and great, art craft and stuff. But they casually threw away the idea that Lyndall is ancient, more so than Elias.
Right.
And that doesn't necessarily mean he's stronger,
but it means he's probably wiser.
it means he probably has a lot more experience in specific areas of magic that Elias does not.
It's-
Also, he mentioned the Thorns thing specifically with Elias as saying, "We just call you Thorn." He just calls him Thorns. Now I want to bring up
Okay.
something here. Thorns are a kind of a nature's weed. Basically, they are something that is somewhat damaging to nature in general. Now,
Not to nature usually.
not to nature, but they can be.
Okay.
Basically, the idea that when you see a plant growing, like say some flowers, and then the thorn bush comes through, it can choke out the original plant that
Sure.
was there.
Yes.
And I think the imagery that we could draw a little bit too much into, but I'm going to do it anyway, is that he is something that's segregated away because he doesn't want to cause problems for everyone else's domain.
Okay.
And
sure.
Lyndall
I'll buy
would
that.
have a little bit of problem if he was working
Yes.
his magic here with the dragons permanently. And the
Okay.
idea that maybe at some point his domain, or not really his domain, Elias's reach, his influence
Projects.
will be a little bit extended out and have some little bit of, not turf wars, but kind of
Okay.
a little bit of a bumping up. Is like, hey, you step off, Elias. Like you're in my space, and he'd be like,
Sure.
really?
Okay. I don't think that's where they're gonna end up going with this.
No,
I see
not
what you
necessarily.
mean.
But I think that's a conflict potential bit
Yes,
based
that-
around the idea that we have mages that protect an aspect of nature, but we have no idea what Ainsworth or Elias or whatever we're going to call him,
how he fits into all that with his plans for Chise as a slave egg.
what is his domain? Does he have a point? Have they kind of excommunicated him
Sure.
and said just stay over there
Yeah.
and don't bother anyone?
That's a definite possibility. One
Yeah.
other thing to think about is that they kept Lyndall concealed when they wanted it to be mysterious of whether he was a bad guy or a good
Right.
guy.
Yeah.
Once they revealed him, he had a very sort of simple face, simple hair,
Yep.
clothes, all that stuff, right?
It kind of reminded me of the priest in that regard. The priest,
Yes.
they built him up a little bit, seemed a little bit ominous, and then suddenly it's
Yep.
comedy, humor, and
Yep.
simple face, and very
Right.
warm features and everything like that.
Now, a lot of the times, and let me know if you just think I'm totally off in the weeds here.
Oh, go for it, though.
But a lot of the times I find that with the older characters that are supposed to come across as wiser,
Yes.
they generally have simpler designs.
Ah, okay.
Like if you're assuming
Sure.
you're talking about an actual person, not some being that's supposed to be mysterious and like not able to
Right.
be understood. Ainsworth or Elias, he has the more complicated design.
Way more complicated
even
design.
down to the skull face with the
Yep.
horns, right?
Yep.
That makes me think of like human transmutation, some taboos or whatever,
yeah,
right?
yeah. He's done some things that he probably shouldn't have.
And he might still be doing those things
Yes.
with Chise as a Sleighbegi. Because
Right.
when people basically know that like Chise is a Sleighbegi, which he tried to keep a secret from
Yes.
Angelica,
Right.
right? There's the people or the creatures that basically want to take her away, and then there's the people who are like, "What are you up to?" Like they're like not caution would be an easy word to use. Like that'd be a conservative word.
That's
like,
the part where Angelica and Elias had that little stare down after she had used the magic.
Right.
And he was very like, don't try me.
Yeah. Well,
and she was just
also,
like,
don't say something that she shouldn't know right now.
Yes, that also. That also.
Like,
I think one of the other things with mages is that we don't know if they adhere to any kind of moral code, but I feel like the one thing we've noticed so far with mages is that you have your area, I have my area. We don't cause problems. We've got enough problems, and with us basically causing troubles for each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's have a non kind of confrontational policy with each other. Keep things very professional.
Exactly, because when you're getting into the realm of things where you can like affect reality and stuff like that, where you can like, because with people, it's pretty easy to have that whole like, yeah, they live their life, I live mine, you know, we're separate, whatever. But when it gets to the realm of magic, where one person's actions can drastically affect someone else's life, even if they don't intend to, right? Because things can just get complicated.
Right. I think that's where actually the sorcerers have grown. It's the idea that mages have proven themselves to be a little less refined. I think that's something we'll find out, is that sorcerers don't have as much reach. They're all less powerful, like in general. Like they said, a sorcerer is dime a dozen or something like that. They said earlier. But the thing is that mages can sometimes have magic that goes awry, kind of like how Angelica had that problem with her arm. What happens if a mage ends up, hurting some sorcerers, accidentally? Then it becomes an incident, and all the other mages are like, sorry, you screwed up. I mean, we'll look out for you, but you need to have the consequences of not practicing your magic effectively.
Especially considering that the way they have the magic set up is that it's not the mages using the magic directly, but using it through something else, using it through creatures. That connotates the idea that it's more difficult to control, because it's not like a muscle. Like
there's multiple wills
I lift my arm, I
here.
move my fingers, right? There's multiple wills, so there's more ways for it to potentially go wrong. What happens if you like I could see this being a problem with like the really young, unexperienced mages. Maybe that's what happened with Elias. He tried to use the magic of a creature that he shouldn't have tried to use the magic of, and it got out of hand, right?
Sure.
So that at that point, maybe he could be completely trying to keep it contained, but he just can't, because...
Yeah. There's a lot of things we're theorizing on here, but they're off into crackpot theory territory.
They are.
But with this episode in particular, we got a new kind of aspect of the world. We got a new character.
We did.
We got a couple new characters technically, but one of them immediately passed away. And I just wanted to congratulate the show writers and the mangaka artists and all those people for creating this Nevin dragon guy, who, in the short time he was there, I almost immediately identified with him because of how compassionate he was with Chisei.
Right.
Do you remember that moment when
you expect from like a dragon that's introduced?
Yeah, you'd think they'd be a little bit indifferent, but in this, once he read her mind and showed that she thought about committing suicide, and that he was glad that she didn't in that instance, and that also all the horrible things that have been done to her, which we kind of have an idea of, but there are no details because it's potentially something so abusive that it's not necessarily even entertaining or worthy to see.
Right. Yeah.
And that's something to where you could feel the emotion coming from this dragon, from this old one who understood the pain, because she started with, doesn't it hurt? And then he said, you are such a kind-hearted soul or something like that, or such a kind-hearted girl. And you know what she was directly talking about was not the process of dying, but continuing to live in his suffering. is something that's painful. So she was basically saying, why don't you just end it because you're in pain
Which
here.
is a great way to show what's going on inside
her. Yes. So once they brought that up, I was like, oh.
Yeah,
that hurts so much because...
Which is great because it's showing basically like an overarching conflict for Chisei,
right?
Separated from any plot or whatever, just her and how she needs to, and how she no doubt will grow as a person,
right,
over the course of this show.
Yep.
But the fact that they did it in a way that was not like overtly stating it,
yes,
that was great because it makes it so that it doesn't have to get too heavy if people don't want the story to get too heavy. They can just be like, okay, this is a very gorgeous scene. There's a lot of awesome world building happening. Yeah, right. Awesome, great. I love it. Mm-hmm. But it's also this compliment to the audience by making it something where they have to connect the dots.
They do have to connect the dots. And I love stories that talk up to the audience, not talk down.
Yes.
Because when you get rewarded for little observations like that, you can see that this show has a plan for its development, and it also intentionally drops little things. A lot of shows will put in little things just to fill space, or just they'll accidentally drop little things.
Well, you can't talk about the intentions necessarily.
I can in the positive sense, not in the negative sense.
Sure.
I will definitely claim the intention of things when it's a positive, like something of them trying to put in a subtle bit here.
And that makes it that is something that's very exciting whenever I see these kinds of things, because that means that there will probably be a lot of rewatch value for this show, which is awesome.
Also, in particular, it gives that added depth for their main character, Chisei, who is dealing with some very complicated emotions right now. Yeah. And yet it would be very, very easy on a simple watch through with this to go, Chisei's character is the most bland or just kind of, oh, I'm in pain or something like that.
I'm apathetic or whatever, but it's
no. Yep. I really feel like her character is going to be the one that goes through the most transformation, even though the one who's going to go through the more visible and obvious transformation is actually going to be Elias. Yeah. But she's going to go through some very subtle and very powerful transforming as well.
Yes, at the beginning. I think at the end, when you look at how she started, and that's going to be one of the other things that adds rewatch value.
Is the incremental change.
Exactly.
Not, of course, if we looked at the end, we would go, oh my gosh, there's been so much change.
No, but even if you didn't, you wouldn't have to go back to the first episode to see the difference.
I see what you mean. You're right.
We'll get to that point where we're like, wow, she is
night and day.
So night and day, so completely different, and it will be absolutely amazing.
Right. I also am excited about the idea of this show now actually taking its time a little bit because of the way they handled an episode that was also, I would say, relatively slow and world-building focused. Which is exactly what the second episode was.
Right, and also potentially completely episodic.
That's true. If this ends up being a totally episodic show... I'm all on board with it. Because the linear story is character focused.
Exactly, right. Yes.
Anytime you have an episodic story that has the linear parts of it be focused actually on the characters, to where the characters carry the entire linear story, if those characters are done well, you have something special. It's kind of the likes of Cowboy Bebop in that regard.
I was thinking of that too, and I would say, okay, now, this is something that has gotten me a lot of flack in the past, but I actually have some problems with how Cowboy Bebop does his characters from the episode standpoint. Not because the characters are bad, but because they had to, given the time that it was, reruns, you can't count on people watching every episode and all that stuff. They made it so that each episode was incredibly self-contained, and they're good standalone episodes.
Yes.
But when it came to character development outside of the linear plot that it did have, I found that the characters felt very much the same episode to episode. And they're great characters, so that's not too much of a problem.
Yeah.
But it didn't have that subtle growth for the characters, or at least I didn't see it as much, which is one of the things that I really like to see when they have stories like Cowboy
Like
Bebop
this.
or like this.
I think that's why this one won't be an episodic show all the way through, though.
Yeah,
That's why I think that by episode 6 we'll have a linear plot going on.
Much like Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I think it would be even more linear than Cowboy Bebop.
Yes, I think
that
so,
they won't
yeah.
even go back to episodic stuff.
Sure,
In the
except for
same
like some
magnitude.
exceptions, right?
Yeah, they'll have like 1 or 2 here and there, but
Yeah.
not as much.
Okay, and the fact that we are comparing this show to Cowboy Bebop
By episode 3.
by episode 3,
This is quality right here.
this is good stuff.
I can tell where they're going to have problems if they don't like fix them eventually, but right
Sure.
now I'm not worried about those.
Yeah,
things at all.
they're hitting so many awesome notes that I did not expect them to hit, or like wasn't even looking for them to hit.
Right.
That I'm totally confident they'll be able to handle the show very well.
Same here.
Yeah.
All right, well, this was a lot of fun, guys.
It
If
was.
you want to watch the next episode's reaction, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access and watch the next episode right now. It's going to be pretty awesome. You can also get Discord access where you can chat
That's
with us
true.
about storytelling or what have you, or just goof off or whatever. Yeah, it'll be pretty fun. But yeah, we'll see you all there. But until then, of course, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb,
I'm Jacob.
and we'll see you all next time.